What's up, guys? Give me 1 second here. Trying to get over here so I can see the message board. Trying. I can minimize it. Give me 1 second here. Got a few viewers on, I see that. 6, 7 now, 8. Get your message board out here. All right. What is up, guys? What is going on? I haven't shared any links or anything like that. It was just kind of for my YouTube channel. I was going to actually share the link on Facebook so people could check me out. There, shared. That works for me. I just kind of want to talk about a few things. I think we got 15 people on here. Hi, Vicky. Hunter, have you ever met him? Can you be more specific? What's up, Memphis? How you doing, Jerry? Jeremy? Sorry about that. A few things I was going to talk about. Obviously, in the last one, I shared some information about the book. Here it is. I know you probably can't see it that well. I was pleased, for the first one that I wrote. I actually have another one that I'm going to be coming out with that deals with a lot more paranormal and alien encounters and things like that down the road. But I kind of wanted to keep it separate. So you can check this out on Amazon. But there, I was pleased with the photo quality, and I did full color for a reason. Editors can say, hey, go black and white so it's cheaper. But I think full color actually helps tell the story and gives you, more clarity into the subject. But there's a photo here that quite a few people wanted to talk about. I actually might share it through my photo page here, but this is directly out of the book. So, I mean, I've probably only got 100 books sold or something like that. It's not a numbers thing. I just want to get it out there so people can actually enjoy the real research that's going on, and they can understand kind of what we put into this, and we kind of bring you into the aspect of the research. What's happening. Like for a lot of people, basically the way I broke it down is I didn't break it into chapters. Like I'll just give you a quick insight. Like on August 5th. So basically I give you, I take all our readings, the barometric pressure, the wind, the temperature, the location, the times that we're there, and I break it down for you kind of what happens on those days. So if there's a correlation between days where a viewer says, hey, on this day, the barometric pressure and the wind and the degree, the temperature was all the same as another day, and on those 2 days there was sightings or there was, something happened, you can kind of correlate it, together. So it kind of worked. Thanks, Vicky. I'm glad you got yours. I think the editor did a good job too, and I appreciate her for doing that. But out of all the photos in the book, Vicky actually brought this up to my attention. She said, there's a favorite photo of mine that you have, in the book that you share. She says it's her favorite photo. Well, about 10 or 15 other people actually, are interested in this photo, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. Thanks, Rob. Cool cover. Hey, it's kind of hard though. People don't really realize the vast amount of creativity you have to put into a book. I mean, they say, a cover sells, right? I guess that's what you're looking for. The ultimate goal is, to sell the books. I get it. But trust me, you don't get rich off of it at all. But it's you want people to know you want to expand their knowledge base on everything that you were doing, kind of why you thought different things or why you thought that way. And But anyway, this photo right here, I don't know if you guys can see it or how good you can see it. You can see right here, and then there's a black and white scale version that I did, and then there's the original, which is, you know, way back here. It's zoomed out. There's your log, and you know, that's what you get zoomed in. But I wanted to talk about that. What's up, Dor? In my mind, this photo is one of the best out there of a juvenile. It's good quality, not the thin paper. Yeah, I went high quality everything. You know, I went glossy. I went color all photos. I didn't want to skimp my readers out on anything. You know, black and white is fine if you're just going to show structures or minimal things. You know, there are structures in here, but I want color. I want to bring you in to understand what I'm doing every day, what we were doing every day, and I just feel that the color, you know, grabs you. Wow, thanks, Rob. There's a lot of other good photos in here, but this baby, I'm gonna state this. Normally, I don't say that, but I don't think I've seen a better juvenile picture from anyone out there. You know, there's grainy video and things like that. You have friends. What's up, 22 Trey? You have friends at Lawton's Corners near Gowanda. Where would be the best place for them to research? Basically, I believe that is your general area. Gowanda is not far. This whole area in Western New York, people don't really understand that. You know, it's got culture, it's got heritage. I mean, you've got Lilydale Assembly, which isn't far. That's one of your biggest spiritual communities. And if you look up in my county, Chautauqua County, and you go ahead and Google things like mound builders, these were ancient giant skeleton bones in like 1880s that were removed from an area near Lilydale. So the history goes way back. But I can tell you I've had reports in Gowanda. What's up, Dan? I've had reports in Panama. I've had reports in Arkwright, Dunkirk, Cherry Creek, Sinclairville, Forestville, and there was one more. The farthest was up towards Salamanca. If they want to contact me, usually what I do is I just don't give out a location. Rob, you can buy it in Canada. It's on Amazon. Type in the Bigfoot Report. There's the Kindle and the book edition. I always love everybody to get the book edition. But I've had reports all over this county. And if you contact me, what I like to do is, you know, see where they're living, see their home, if they've had any interactions in that area, or if I can take a Google map and kind of pick out some areas for them based on, you know, things that I've learned. And if I can do that, I'll go ahead and email them back or share them, you know, let's share the specific areas to them and so on and so forth. But in the book, here it is, the Unclassified Bigfoot Report. It's a different type of book. It's not just your storybook. These are actual real things from the field. And like I said, I wanted to share this baby photo here. Sorry, I think I froze up there. I hope it's clear enough. There's the grayscale of it, so you can see the different colors. You can see the nose. You know, that's the original photo right there where it was sleeping. Now, like I said, I don't go out on a limb and say, hey, I got the best evidence. I just don't do that. But this photo of a juvenile, I believe, is one of the best in the field to this day. And I talk to a lot of different people who have many types of research going on, you know, just from your regular everyday people to the whoever. So I just feel it's one of the best out there. I mean, it's got clarity, and you can see the definition, you can see the lips, and when you try to compare it to any other known species or animals, it just doesn't fit the bill. Especially the nose, the way the cheekbones are puffed up, almost like kind of like chipmunks. But I correlate that photo to another photo that is in the book that, from the side view, it looks Neanderthalish. And if you kind of compare and contrast like the two, they almost look like the same, like the outline of the face, the way you could see the forehead set, and it's really interesting. But that was just one of the photos I wanted to share. Yeah, thanks, Rob. You like the book edition? That's awesome. Yeah, have them get in touch with me. They can leave a comment under here with their email. They can get with me on Facebook, Ryan Reading. I always help people out. I just from what I've learned, I'm not an expert, but I've learned from them in the field. So I kind of just try to share that information to other people. And when I've done that, my buddy Chris, great guy, he's getting some good evidence, and Berkshire Bigfoot, and he's following like some of my protocol and a couple other guys' things, and he's putting it together, and it's kind of starting to work out for him. You just found some megastructures. That's awesome. Now, if you remember what I say about megastructures, if you find the biggest structures in your area, just from my experience, I'm just telling you, if it'll work for you, hopefully, go to those and frequent those. You need to photograph those and continually go for like the next 60 days, maybe every couple days. And what happens is you'll notice a change. You'll notice a change in that structure. There will be, new tree branches added or taken away, but you need to compare that. You need to say, all right, I went 4 days ago, and then I come back and I took this photo from the exact same location, and they're different. So when you start noticing these structures being added to or subtracted from, I kind of explained this a little bit, it doesn't happen for no other reason. It's them. They're there. They're taking them or adding these sticks to the structures. That's when you need to be there. If you can be there during that hot period, I call it a hot period, when they're frequenting that large structure, you're going to have, the probability of you seeing one of them astronomically, goes up, because they're there for a reason. They're moving that structure, they're changing it, they're doing things. So you need to continue to follow those mega structures, brother. Trust me. Hey, New York. Hey, what's up, Ron? I've watched your channel off and on. Awesome channel, Central Missouri. Thanks, Judge. I have a buddy down in Missouri also, Ozark Mountain Sasquatch. His name is Shane Carpenter. Great guy. Hey, my buddy Chris is on Berkshire. Definitely works. It's just something that I've learned. It's taken me 5 years to compile these things. And the only way people ask me, how do you know this? How do you possibly know these things? And what I tell them is I've learned from them. Like basically being out there, I've seen these things, and I was taught things by them. Things they do, the way they move, why they move this way, why they move that way, the things that they do. And I started to compile all that. Some of that you'll learn in the book. So I only divulged some of it. But those structures, since everybody links them to Bigfoot, you kind of need to, sorry, I had a pop up. You kind of need to, you kind of need to pay attention to, what's going on. If they're being built at a certain time. But I only notice it's not the little structures, because those are less frequented, or those are just, they must not mean anything to them. Well, the mega structures like you referred to are key. Those are the ones, if you want to set up cameras, I'll give you my little trick, how I've been able to get these photos. Like I said, I'm all about sharing. So what I used to do is I'd put the cameras, if I found this structure here, and I would notice foot impressions, let's say coming from the northwest or the northeast, I knew that they were coming from that direction to the actual structure. So as a normal person would think, I need to set up in between there somehow, because that's how I would catch them coming back and forth. I'd set up the camera, but I wouldn't face it toward them. Okay. I would face the camera back toward the structure. Now, why would I do that? In hopes that they wouldn't see it or change their actual pattern. So what I would do is, if they're coming directly from the northwest into this structure, to this mega structure, you call it, right? I would set like 3 camera traps. that would kind of horseshoe that structure, and I'd face it, toward the structure. Ultimately, what ended up happening is you get one of two things that'll happen. Well, one of three. They'll disappear for a while, totally. The second thing that'll happen is they'll continue to come, but they will skirt around your cameras. Okay, they'll skirt around them. It's almost like they have a sixth sense of knowing that they're there, but they don't know where they're at. So then what I would do is when they were skirting it, I would take an extra camera and put it off to the side. What I would do with that camera is face it directly in the direction that they're coming from. So what happens is they would see the IR or the red or whatever it may be. They would see that and completely avoid that obscured area where I wasn't able to, capture photos. Instead, they would filter back into where those three cameras were. Now, the last trick that I would do, everybody wants to keep that camera 5, 6, 7 feet high. Yeah, we do keep a couple that high in the air, but I was capturing more at the 2 foot level, having the camera strapped to a tree 2 foot off the ground. Why? Well, what happened is, sorry, Christopher Noel, comment per shepherd. Okay, I got to check that out later. What was happening is a lot of times they were on all fours. They were coming in kind of like in this sly position, in this sleek position, down on all fours, and they were hiding, and our cameras would just capture nothing because they're 5, 6 foot in the air. And it's like, why am I not capturing anything? I had to second guess everything, and I didn't know. But when we started putting them lower, it was crazy because that's when we got a really good, side view photo of a juvenile, which ended up working out great, for us. But these are little things that we've learned over the course of this crazy research. Let's see. Hey, Judge himself, really 2 foot off the ground. Yep. See, everybody's out there. I'm just giving you some of my knowledge. Everybody's out there looking for this thing that's 8 foot tall, 9 foot tall, 6 foot tall. It doesn't work that way. They can hide in the trees. There's so many things that they can do. But what I visually learned from one of my videos where we shared the Bigfoot in the I've Seen Bigfoot documentary, when I had one of my craziest encounters, tying everything together, the tree structures, the knocks, the whole 9 yards. He was on the ground. He was sitting on the ground, and you could see his arm come out a couple times in the video. And then when I go, to the camera, I'm setting it up, he stands up and he's watching what I'm doing. So I didn't really know all this was going on till later on, but that gave me, a light bulb went off. They're sitting on the ground, they're behind the trees, they're down low. That's the whole situation that's kind of going on. They're not, always just up walking around. Like, I think they only get up to go places when it's a necessity. You know what I'm saying? USMC, try that, but you gotta have a main structure. You gotta try it in. There's got to be a sequence of events. You got to have the main structure in the area. I would guarantee, putting in a horseshoe of maybe 3 cameras or 4, and then maybe 2 of those have at the 2 foot mark, and then 1 at like 6 foot, so that can encapsulate that structure. But don't put it 10 feet away from the structure. Give it some room. Give it a good 20 feet. But pay attention to where those track impressions were coming from, to that structure. A lot of people get to the structures and they're like, oh, wow, look at this structure. Oh, my God, there's footprints. They don't correlate anything else, though. They should say, well, where the hell are those prints coming from? Well, okay, if they continually come from that direction, their core area is over there. So they're going to continually come this way. So you have to set up for that. Create your horseshoe, put your cameras up at the different levels like I explained. If you're not catching anything, set that third one up off to the side where they're flanking and face it right toward them. And that's going to help you. That's going to help you because that camera will deter them and make them go back to their original pattern. It's worked for me. I don't know how many times it's working for other people. I guess it's just like a little glitch maybe that I caught on to. So Berkshire, we are now trying that at one of our location gates. I hope it works. But here's another kicker. At the gate locations, we were getting photos of tree branches. So we were having cameras at 3, 4, 7, all over the place. And I wanted to rule out just rogue tree branches, okay? And it seemed like a tree branch would come into the frame from the side like that and trip the camera. At the same time the camera was being tripped, the apples were disappearing. It's almost like they had the knowledge to, and this just wasn't me, you know. There's other researchers out there, especially in Missouri, that were seeing this. And it's kind of like this tree branch just comes in, it clicks the camera, and some of the apples are gone. It's like, so they kind of have a sixth sense about how to do things. So, I mean, let's face it, they play with sticks all day long. They know things. So if they know about the cameras, we determined that they were using it to trip the cameras to take the apples. So with that being said, that's when I started putting the cameras at 2 foot. And I was like, you know, 2 foot on a tree here, there's no tree branches around, there's nothing that's fallen. And if I do get a branch that falls from a tree, and the camera captures it, the branch is still going to be laying there. You know, you're trying to rule things out. So that branch is still going to be laying on the ground. It took a photo. Okay. Well, at the 2 foot mark, we were still getting that branch come in at the odd hours, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was just like, you know, what is going on? We had determined that they were able to use the branches to just pay attention to some of your camera footages and see if it happens to you. They were taking them, coming in from the side, tripping it, so they could take the apples. And that's kind of what started at our gate location. Some of that is explained in the book. For the new people, I shared a photo earlier. Here's another glimpse. Here's another photo I'll share out of the book. That's for some of you. I'm not going to go crazy and give everything away to you guys. I want you to get into it and really delve into the different style of book, the real research, the whole aspect, and bringing you in. Let's see. Rob, they are smart. A lot of people don't understand their cognitive ability. You have to treat them like a human. You can't treat them like a Bigfoot. They're too smart. It's plain and simple. Yep, have pictures of branch triggering cameras also. Yep. And what happens is they'll start to lead you down this path. And then eventually that gate area, Chris, is going to go cold. It'll be, I'll tell you, ours went cold in May up here in Western. It was May at one of our main gate locations. Completely disappeared. There was no evidence. There was no nothing. Nothing was being taken. No wildlife was being seen. It just went void. That's when I had to make the determination to go to another location. And when I did that, that's when they, you know, took the kettle and they started doing things. But I always tell people, be rational and figure out ways that you can rule things out. You have to rule things out, you know, regular branches and things like that. But once you start putting a camera at 2 foot, and you know, you get these photos of branches, you know, triggering the camera, but there's no branch laying on the ground that could have done it. That tells you something. Excuse me. Let me see. I was scrolling through the live here and I missed some of your questions. Any of you guys got questions? Any of you guys got anything interesting? Anything you want to talk about? I'm always up for that. Seriously, I would want to meet a Sasquatch. Good watching. Oh, you would not want to meet a Sasquatch. You know, it takes determination and it is scary. A lot of guys do this and they don't realize the fear. You know, it's affected the way I hunt, you know, it really does, because I know they're there. And that's the problem. Once you know that they're there or have that sighting, it changes something in you. It changes the way you think, the aspect of everything. You know, what's real, what's not real. I mean, if they're there, are other things, you know what I mean? So you can't rule anything out. That's the crazy part about it. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy with the book. That was my main thing to really talk about, was to share the. I was trying to share for the new viewers the picture I shared earlier for you guys of the baby. Like I said, I think it's one of the best baby pictures out there of a Sasquatch. That is a baby Sasquatch, 100%. You know, I shared the grayscale and the original photo, sort of zoomed in. It was probably 30 yards. We caught it sleeping, and you know, a lot of people don't understand. They don't grasp the magnitude of how smart these creatures are. Now, if we weren't photoing, to tell you the truth, going through the woods, we probably would have never seen that. We would have never even, it was just so still. It was there, and that's the situation. A lot of people, I tell them, look, if you're going in the woods to look for Bigfoot, this is why I tell people don't go alone. A lot of people will take their camera and they're just doing this, but you need to have a backup guy, and that backup guy should be taking photos. I mean, we'll come home in a range of 250 photos from the day, usually at least. You know, sometimes we'll fill up, you know, 500 on a card. It's, you're photoing everything. You're looking at everything. People just don't understand. People are like, well, how come you can't see Bigfoot every time, or how come you can't find them, and why is this and why is that? Well, some of the questions I try to tell people is, you try to go walk through the woods without looking at the ground. Impossible. So what happens is your sensory overload is because you're trying to assess the situation. You don't want to break an ankle. You're trying to walk. You're going over logs. You're doing all these crazy things. You're trying to videotape. You're trying to talk to the viewers. You're trying to have a guy, you know, off to your position here to take photos of everything. And you're trying to pay attention to the landscape, and you're taking all that in. And it's so much. And then you got some of the foliage that's moving with the wind and the whole 9 yards. So documentation is everything. And the better the photos and everything you can do to bring your evidence forth, it's substantial. It's good. You know, this is what we're trying to do. Share everything. Talk to other people. Have these small podcasts. Get the information out there. Like I tell people, I don't know everything, but I've learned a lot in 5 years. I've learned so much that, you know, other people that have been doing this 25 years say, you know, I what they would tell me is, how do I say this? I've experienced that, but I was not able to figure out how to correlate the two, you know, and I would have the answer because I seen it, like, or I experienced it. And it's crazy. Like, people will call you crazy, people will call you nuts, but you just laugh it off because there's no reason not to laugh it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you know inside. And I've had so many people just recently say, hey, you know, I seen the book, or I seen your channel, or I want to go out in the woods. And I tell people, look, I'll take you and you can experience things, but I don't want you to come once. I don't want you to come twice. I don't want you to come for 2 days. If you want to do that, cool, I can show you some things. If you really want to get in nitty gritty and you want to stay up here like a month, and you're serious about getting in the woods and you know, focusing on structures and seeing how I learn and what they do and how we document, like I was telling people earlier, for the research, if you're not the travel routes, the way I document travel routes, you know, from day to day, May 23rd, 68, clouds clearing the sun, barometric pressure rising to 30, winds 5 to 7 miles an hour, location, time 10 a.m. to, you know, that's how I broke this down in the book for you guys. Like, I wanted to bring you in, and then, you know, at the end, obviously, it's let your journey begin, because I feel after you read this and understand it, you'll have a better grasp on using some of the tools to start your adventure. Obviously, you're here for a reason. Either you've seen it, you're interested, you don't believe, but you want to believe, you're skeptical, or you just like the stories. If you get in the woods, seriously, and do some of the proper implementation on things, you know, using the maps and the way to, you know, the biggest thing, my biggest thing to you guys is how they travel. That is how you are, just like a deer hunter. I deer hunt. I learn how the deer travel, where they go, why they go there, and it's, you know, you're setting up in between. It took me 5 years to figure out that well, there's 2 areas that I have that I mainly research, and it's about a total of 12,000 acres. But in the main 4,000 to 5,000 acre one, I learned that they have approximately 7 or 8 different core locations in that. And what they would continue to do is move. And it seemed like they wouldn't stay in one position more than a week. Now, that has been thrown off a little bit by the turbine. I speak about the turbine project that's going on in our county. That has been thrown off, and they were forced to move to other locations, which we're going to find out this year, Dan and a couple other guys, and see if they're still in this really deep valley, which I kind of use the maps to figure out. And you know, it's a chess puzzle, guys. You know, people keep asking me, you know, how do you know that? How did you figure that out? How did you, you know, and it's just from time. It's just sitting there looking through maps, figuring things out. Where, if you know, I put myself in their shoes. So when I'm looking at the map, I say, okay, they were here, and I know they were here because I seen them, or they were in these locations, so I know their horseshoe or their circle of their core locations that they're sitting. So once I figured that out, I say, well, if this turbine project comes in, where would they go? So then what I do is I take the map, I'll give you my insight, and I would mark locations on the map to say, okay, why is this a good area and why is this not a good area for them to go to? So let's say I came up with 5 more locations. And then I would narrow those 5 by answering other questions. And I would say, okay, this area is good because this, and it's bad because of this. Then I would weigh the pros and cons. And then I would do maybe just a little walk in there, check things out. If I see nothing, scratch it, jump to the next one. And finally, it would help me narrow things down. And, you know, once I got my guys to go up in this valley where they actually had a sighting themselves, you know, they come out and they're like, dude, you were dead on. How did you know that? How did I can't understand it. It takes a lot of time. A lot of these guys out here are not doing real types of research. They're just, you know, doing it for themselves or whatever the situation is. Other guys really want to put the effort in to understand, you know, whether, you know, to what Bigfoot is, or to get another sighting, or to have their initial sighting, or to take the data and collaborate it and do whatever they need to do. But it's serious, you know. A lot of guys joke around and, oh yeah, you know, I'll go out and I'll talk to a few people. The other night I was out talking to a friend of mine. He's like, man, you know, I see your channel talking about the Bigfoot and you got the book out and this and that. And he's really intrigued. You know, they look at you like, is it real? And then they're, you know, you start telling them some of the stories. You start telling them about the time you put in, the things that you do. And new people can't really understand it. But that their next thing is, wow, you kind of like intrigued me enough to say, I want to go with you. And then you start taking these people with you. You know, I don't charge or anything. I'm not that type of person. I don't care. You get them out there and they experience something, and it's like, it's bananas, because then they're like, whoa, you know. And I'm not the one. And my biggest thing is, I tell people, I'm not trying to influence you. I want you to experience whatever it is. And say we experience some screams or experience whatever, or see something. Instead of me telling you I know what that was, I'm going to say, hey, what do you think that was? And I'm going to let you explain to me what that situation was, and then see if we can come to common ground, because that's the best way you need to do it. Let's see what you guys are talking about. You are onto their movements for sure. Gotta be. Google Earth and Topo Maps are indispensable. They really are, because you can use that. I pinpoint. What I do is I pinpoint the areas where I've seen structures, where we've got footprints, audio, visuals, and I lay it out on a map. And then all you have to do, it takes time to do that, because you have to search all these different areas. That's kind of what took 5 years. And once we determined all these locations pinpointed on the map, I can say, hey, okay, so they're going to move from here to here or here to here. And I had to figure that out, why they would move and when they would move. And it got to be unreal, to where the point, you know, I understood, okay, I could almost be there and almost guarantee on a certain day that, or close to it, that I'm going to get some type of activity. And it worked out really, really good. But it's been truly hard. Trust me. But it's something you need to implement. If you really want to have a sighting, I mean, there's dumb luck sightings. You get them all the time, crossing the road and doing this, but people would say, you know, oh, it crossed the road here. But again, they don't really think in depth and say, well, why did it cross the road there? You know what I'm saying? You have to figure out, why did it cross the road there? There's reasons. There's certain pathways that they follow all the time after time after time, and people don't realize it. It's safety. It's travel corridors. It's, you know, they may not migrate super far, but there are times where they'll come and drop in elevation or move up in elevation based on snow and weather and other things. A lot of people think for the animals. I believe, you know, I never believed they ate deer or other animals. I always thought they were, you know, vegetarian, until I captured an audio that we shared, where it sounds like, I'll give you the gist of it. It sounds like it jumps out of the tree onto a deer, and that it crushes the deer's air pipe, wind. So a normal hunter would say, okay, a deer snorts, and it's like, you know, you sound like a deer snort, right? But this was excessive expulsion. It sounded like something was on the deer, choking it and like pushing the air out of the deer. And we captured that on audio, and it was, you know, traumatic. And it went for like 30 seconds, and then the deer must have been dead. Right after that is when you hear the screams from what seemed to be a juvenile. And the way I took that was excitement, kind of like you know, a Native American or somebody that killed something. You know, you get that rush, that excitement. Well, that's what it was doing. It was screaming. We got the branches breaking in the audio, and then it got to the point where the juvenile was so exuberant about the whole situation that was going on that it seemed like the father, the way you would say this, the father or the bigger male of the group yells to him, and you hear him huff in the audio, and it's like, huh. I've played it before on my channel, and he says something. There's been numerous, how do I say this? In my mind, it says, go lay down. It sounds like he tells the juvenile to go lay down, basically to chill the hell out. You know, I understand you killed something or whatever, but chill the hell out. And then you can hear it move off, screaming back to wherever it was headed. But we had that audio looked at by a few people, and if you're doing your audio, what they look for is like morphines, phenoms, all this breakdown crazy stuff. If you have that in the depiction of the audio, that's indicative of language. Okay, so that tells you that that was some type of language, audio, vocal, you know, not just like a scream or something. It's actual language, and we found that in the audio. That was what was really compelling. So let's see. Why did Bigfoot cross the road? Good one. I heard their screams on shows. Sound scary. If you really hear their screams in real life, if they're close, you will be terrified the first few times. I've heard, you know, death screams where it sounds like a woman's being murdered. I've heard the howls and hoops and the roars. Then you hear these kind of like screams that you hear me do in my videos, which, you know, spring's coming. I'm going to be out there, guys. We're going to be in the woods. You're going to be seeing it, you know. Going to do some habituation again in on a private section of land that I have. But it's kind of like I hear them go like, ha! Like I didn't do that loud because I'm in my house, but it's really it's dramatic the way it comes out. It's like, ah! It's these weird screams. Let's see. Follow the structures, right? Yes and no. Follow the little ones to get to the big one is the best way I can put it. Your concentration is on the big structures, the biggest structure in your location. Kind of like a small city and Walmart, right? You got all these little stores that people go to, but they always go to Walmart, right? So let's put it in that perspective. You find that big structure is Walmart. Eventually, you're going to catch them there. And if you're doing your research and you're there, let's say, you know, take 60 days and follow that structure. Go every 3 to 4 days and photograph it. Photograph for prints, photograph for branches, and take that picture. And then when you go back on the 4th day, compare the two. When you're comparing those two like that, you can say, oh, well, that was moved, or that's a new branch. And the thing is, a lot of people, the structures that are key to me are ones that, let's say, here's a maple tree, and then I've got oak branches put around it. Like, they didn't even come from the same trees. You know what I'm saying? That's what's really intriguing to me. Those are the ones I try to key in on. But back to my point, like, if you go and frequent that structure and you're comparing and doing everything, eventually your photos are going to be off. And you're going to say, look at 3 sticks or 2 sticks are added or removed or whatever. When you see that, you should be there every single day, or get cameras set up, or do something. You need to be there, because I'm telling you, the chance of a sighting is going to go through the roof, because for some reason at that time, at that point, they're coming to that main structure. But nobody ever correlates that until we did, and we shared it. And you know what? It's working for other people. That's not that I'm saying I'm right, but I'm saying that's how we know. We've learned from them. We learned from what they told us, you know, in the woods. Let's see. Greetings from the Catskills. How you doing? What's up, everybody? I wanted to eat the chicken. Jesus, man, that sounds scary. You know, you can't be afraid. I mean, why be afraid? There's a million things to be afraid of. You know, cars, anything. You know, um, me, I had my sightings. I wasn't into this thing. I metal detected. You know, I had fun in the woods. I did. You know, that was like a hobby. Once I was out metal detecting and seen them, seen the first one, I let it go by the wayside. The first one I tried to erase from my mind, thinking that I was crazy because I was by myself with my dog. You understand? So I tried to just push that back and say, forget it. But it didn't happen. And the following year, I was in the same tract of land, metal detecting with a buddy, and there was one there, and he seen it before I did. And this one was giant. It wasn't a juvenile, like I state in the book. It was damn near 10 foot tall. We measured that, did some things. After that, I'm the type of person, you know, a lot of people have a sighting and they like to hear about stories. So they're story people. Some people wipe it from their mind. Other people become researchers, you know, like me. I was intrigued. I was so focused on the things that were going on. I said, you know, this isn't supposed to be here. Why is it here? What is this? And then I started going online. You know, I'm like everybody else, reading. I've got a stack of books here. I'm going to guess 40, about 40 different types of books, from researchers to stories, you name it. And I wanted to learn everything I could about them 5 years ago when I started this. And it's a long road and it's a lot of reading. And, you know, you have to take that step into it and say, what am I going to do? How am I going to approach this? I was already a hunter, so I had a lot of game cameras. I had a lot of things. You know, I had to purchase some good video. And then I started seeing people on YouTube that share some things and do some things. And I was like, you know what? Here's my approach. This is what I'm doing. And I took all these old ideas and took all my new ideas and put them together, and it's really been working, you know. But habituation is key too. So if you get to that main structure and you know they're there and you could start habituating at that area, forget it. Your interaction success rate is going through the roof. But I tell you, there's certain things you should leave, certain things you should do for habituation. People just think that you can just go do this. No, this is like this is a damn project. Okay. You have to set goals. You have to set standards, just like any other project or paper or anything that you're writing. We were there 4 days a week minimum, same time, you know, same place, doing the same thing, building that repetitive action till it got to the point where they would sit off 100, 150 yards, 200 yards, waiting for us to leave. I share that in the book. Coincidentally, is when we got one of the game cam photos 46 minutes after we left. Like, they waited, they sat there. Actually, it was about 36 to 46 minutes. And then the juvenile came in to the area to grab what was, you know, what we were habituating with. But you always got to weigh your options. You know, if you're not getting the photos, you have to figure out what's going on. It's a puzzle. It's so nerve-wracking. Trust me, I understand. You know, I talk about this. You don't believe I get ridiculed? I mean, you'll have friends, you have family, you'll have anybody, you know, they'll look at you and say, damn, you know, he's crazy, or he lost it, or what is going on? They haven't experienced it. You know, there's people in my family that will talk about it, but they haven't experienced these things. Until they do, you know, when you're hunting, or let's say you're a hunter, I never looked around for anything. Sorry, I'm jumping around here, but I'm trying to put things together. You know, you can explain it to somebody, and being a hunter, I never seen footprints or knew what tree structures were or seen a Bigfoot or any damn thing like that. You know, 25 years I've been hunting now, almost. And it was dumb luck. You know, I was metal detecting, bam, there it was. That was the situation. There was nothing I could do. Do you understand? I didn't ask to see it. I wasn't looking for it. It was there. So there's, you know, what are you supposed to do? You can't get that out of your mind. You can't just, you can try. I tried for almost a year, and it was just about like faded to the point where, like, yeah, did I see something, or was I crazy? You second guess yourself 100%. But once I had that witness with me and he seen it first, clear as a bell in the trail, like, and it was in the crouch position and it stood up in the whole nine and it walks off, you can't change it. I could have let it go. I could have just said, yeah, they're real. And then you tell people, well, hey, here's my story. That's even worse sometimes, because then they're like, this guy's definitely crazy. He doesn't, what the hell is he talking about? Or this girl's crazy. But when you start to have the evidence, like I'm telling you people, that's why this is here. This shares a lot of evidence, a lot of good photos. Hope you can see that. I shared the baby Juvenile earlier. Like I said, I'm not going to give everything away, but there's things in here that, you know, it depicts a lot of our research. But for the newcomers, I'll share the baby photo again. I hope you can see it. That is why I did the book in color, for one of those reasons right there. You can see the detail, you get the clarity. I'm sorry I'm lagging, guys. I'm bouncing all over. I don't use Google Maps. You should. I don't want to say I can teach you some things, but let me help you, Browndorf, give you some things that I've learned, and it may exponentially help you out tremendously. I believe there are different species of Sasquatch. I heard some are aggressive, some are friendly or playful, but not to take them as truly playful. They're, regardless of what you think they are, they're wild, right? They're paranormal, they're wild, they're whatever you want to call it. You have to take caution with anything. You can't just say, okay, they're my best buddy. There's points and times during habituation, they'll make you think that you guys are best buddies. But then there's times where they will put you directly back in your place really fast, and they will let you know you're not shit. Let's just say that, okay? These things will let you know. They will put you back in your place. They will make you humble again, because there's points and times where it gets so overwhelming. My buddy and I and Troy were there, and this one is screaming and things are going on. They will put you back in your place. They'll steal your stuff. They will take what you spend money on, your habituating, your kettles, your things. It's like a joke to them. They will take the damn stuff and say, ha ha. Then you have to go buy it again. And then you have to go buy it again. So each time you have to get more crafty on what to do. You know, I put marbles on the top of my kettles. I do certain things. So I know when scavengers are there and when they're not. The reason the marbles are on the lid is a lot of times they'll take a few of the marbles, if not all of them. And then that gives me an inclination. Something with hands took these marbles. Maybe a bird would want a marble, one. They're not going to come take 7 or 10 marbles, you know. So what would happen is, here's your kettle, lid is on, marbles are on the top. If a scavenger came, or let's say a wild boar or something, I don't know, knocked the kettle over, all the marbles would be laid, scattered all over the leaf, all over the leaves, just laying there. Then I would know, okay, some type of, animal, predator, whatever scavenger, whatever it was, took it. When the Bigfoots would come in, they would take the marbles, either keep them and never give them back, or give them back at a different date, or they would take them and set them to the side. So what I would do is, in the habituation area, I'd have to walk maybe 20 meters in a circle, and sometimes I'd find them piled up, like all of them in a pile sitting somewhere. So it's like, it was weird, but a lot of times they were gone. I have one blue marble that's about yay big. It's a bigger marble, and I continue to use it to this day. That marble was taken like 3 or 4 different times, 3 different occasions, taken from the area, gone, and showed up at that same location again days or weeks later. In some events, it actually showed up in different habituation areas. So it was taken from one, and then 2 weeks later it showed up in another, which was substantially mind-blowing for me. And they kept giving this one specific marble back to me. So that, I don't know if it's a trust thing, or it was like, hey, you can have it, now I'll have it. I didn't really understand it, but I still have the marble to this day. Maybe on the next one I'll get it, bring it, show it to you. It's just this big blue marble. I don't know if they were intrigued with it or if it helped us bond. I have no idea. But let's see. Everybody is burned out nowadays. I mean, not just drug wise, or they're smoking or drinking or whatever it is, but nobody's really putting in the extra work, the extra thought. Like, they want to go take pictures of structures, hurry up and come and share them, or they want to come do this. But I commend people for doing it because they're in the woods. But are you Are you really taking that extra step? Are you correlating things? Are you paying attention to what's going on? Not really. So when I do and I come out with this stuff, people are mind blown. They're like, oh, he's got to be making that up, until they go and try it. And then it changes their whole scenario. They don't like dogs. There's a reason they don't like dogs. And it's true, because when I believe, in my honest opinion, I believe my dog saved my life on my first sighting, because I was metal detecting near a well, and I had my shepherd tied up, I don't know, roughly 100 feet or something behind me, maybe 50 yards, 80 yards, I don't know, behind me, to a tree while I was detecting, because I didn't want his leash to get caught up under the coil or anything. So I was detecting around the old well, up by the house, the old foundation, come under the branch, and there was a hill, you know, it went up in the woods. When I came under that branch, and I've told this story, I look up and it's there. I do a double take, boom, boom, because my mind doesn't register what I'm seeing. When you see it, there, and it's standing there, so it's like this behind the tree. And then when I look down, it moved, and then I looked back up instantly, and I could see the whole thing because it was out from behind the tree. I kind of froze because I didn't know really what to do or what I was seeing, but it was pissed off. It was only a juvenile. I didn't know it was a juvenile until I did my research, but it was about 5.5 foot tall, jet black, had a round head, kind of like my hat, like that. It didn't have your standard sagittal crest, which I learned later that most juveniles don't have a sagittal crest, because like a baby, that bone or that the whole, you know, head area isn't fully formed yet. But anyway, I seen it, and when it noticed that I was looking at it, I mean, this is only maybe 30 feet from me, 20 feet. It bared its bottom teeth. They were all big blocks, big square blocks, blocky teeth. I mean, big square teeth. Boom, 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 boom. And I could see that. And that's kind of was like, whoa, you know, but I believe that having my dog there, it didn't attack me. I mean, let's face it, even a 5 foot squatch, if I'm trying to do something to it, if I don't have a weapon, it's pointless. I'm not going to be able to do anything. It will kill you 100%. It can kill you. So I don't know if it was intrigued or whatever, but here's another a topic that we talk about: the metal detector. Twice while we were metal detecting, doing our thing in the woods, we had sightings. I don't know if it hears the sound from the detector, if it can feel the frequencies coming off the detector, if it's intrigued, I don't know. But we were detecting and doing some things, and when you use your pinpoint mode on it, it makes certain noises, and I don't know if it intrigued it, but 2 different times metal detecting. Try that. Get a good metal detector, go out, maybe take it up as a hobby. Forget about Bigfoot. Go do your thing, but have a GoPro on, or do something, you know, subliminal. And you might catch, you know, you might get a sighting. Let's see here. This is so intense watching you. I need popcorn. Seriously, hey man, I'm just telling you. I'm being honest with you. I give you my raw emotion. I give you the truth. I share it. I don't have anything to hide. So that's why some of the book, there it is. You'll check it out. Just do me the favor. And guys, I'm not getting rich off of a damn book. It's something I wanted to share. And every 5 years, I'm going to try to continue, maybe 3 if something really happens. I'm going to, maybe sooner, but I'm going to try to continue my research and share the same, not dialogue, but the same format where I format it and give you your days, times, temperatures, what's going on, so you guys can correlate things too. I do have an alien book that I'm working on, and it's all based on true stuff, things that have happened from a child on up. Hopefully I can get that out in the summer. I have the cover and some of the book, but there's not a lot of photos. It's more truth. I mean, not that that's not truth, because it is, but this is, you know, I don't have photos or actual proof of evidence and things, but a lot of things that have happened, some serious stories there, you know, things that have happened to me. That alien book should be coming out a couple months. Hope you check that out too. Let's see what else we got here. Damn, that was a crazy picture. I'm telling you, guy, I appreciate that there are some good photos. I believe that Juvenile is the best picture there is out there. I've looked through the Bigfoot world, and I haven't found any type of good juvenile photo like that. And like I was saying earlier, the best thing is I have another photo that's shared in the book, and they kind of look together when you correlate the two. They look the same. I'm talking about woman, Snow White Squatch. She has a playful Squatch. I think this is dangerous. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Squatches in different areas are different. At any time, they can become dangerous, regardless of what you think or what I think or anybody thinks. Take that into consideration. It's not a game. You know, it's like you playing with a bear. People raise bears, and what happens? Sometimes they get attacked. I mean, and they were like best buddies. It happens. So you always got to keep that in the back of your mind. Let's see. Fairies love marbles too. Hey, I don't investigate fairies, but if you say so, they may, and I don't have a reason to doubt you. Man, what's the end game? What's the ultimate goal? Convince the non-believers? I want to bring so much proof to the table that you can't say, not proof, evidence. I want to bring so much evidence to the table that one cannot say, damn, you convinced me. I do want to convince the skeptics, but I want to take it farther. I want to take it into that scientific realm. People have been doing this 20, 30 years and haven't thought of things that we've thought of, or haven't done things that we've done. I mean, I'm sure they've done things we haven't done, but obviously it hasn't worked. If you get enough evidence out there in books, in movies, in documentaries, that's my next goal. Get another documentary, get it together, share everything from a different standpoint. You know, people get tired of the same thing. It's cool to watch, it's good, but where's the real stuff? Where's the real, you know, look at Finding Bigfoot. Great TV show, was all fun and games. Where's the real research? What were they doing? People like to go along and be in the woods with you, right? You guys want to be right there watching YouTube channels so you can go through it and slow it down and say, oh, look at what was that? You know, it brings you in. That is my goal. Bring you in so you can understand what the hell is going on. That's what I did in the book right there. A lot of that is in there. My goal is to bring you in. It's not so much an end game, but I'm really trying to prove that they exist. You know, I've sent samples away to New York. I've teamed up before with New York University. I've done things, you know, I'm thinking outside the box. We've come up with our contraptions that I share in the book that we use for the DNA analysis or the evidence to pull it out, non-harmful ways to do things. My biggest goal that I want to use on an every time basis that I hit the woods, I want to eliminate our footprint while capitalizing on their footprint that they leave, if you understand that. That is how I'm thinking now. I'm so, you know, I've had the paranormal happen, guys. I've had all these crazy things happen. So I toned it back, thought a little bit, wrote the book, and I want to change directions on how I approach this thing a little bit. I'm going to do some different things that people might think are crazy. But I'm going to try some things, and hopefully it gets you guys, you know, into it. You'll be seeing a lot of videos on the channel this year. We're going to be in the woods. Why do women have these romanticized stories of Sasquatch? Are they crazy? Well, listen, there's been stories. It could. I can't say that it's not, okay? What I can say is some people maybe can't get out in the woods, are scared, don't know how, so they hear these stories and then they start to fantasize about it too, or they want to feel important, so they share these things and they make things up. And in the end, you can tell who's lying and who's not lying. You can weed the people out, straightforward. You know, if somebody has corroborating evidence, they say, hey, they come to my house and we have sex. I've heard these crazy ass stories. Do you believe it? No, but if you have some evidence, you've got some hair, you've got some things, you've got footprints, you've got all these things, then maybe you start to pay attention to some of the women. Do they like women? Why wouldn't they? You know, unless they were bisexual or asexual or whatever the situation is, gay, okay? Why wouldn't they? Any other animal, you know, likes a female. Bucks and does, and they all mate. So it's not too far-fetched, you know, so it could be, but unless you have some type of documentation, I mean, it's rough. Battle of wits, it really is, because that's why we need to team up with people, because it seems like they're smarter than any one of us. But what I learned is if you not bow down to them, but if you show them that you're smart enough to catch them on camera, they'll respect you. But then they'll know their boundaries with you and won't give you as much information. That trickle down information will take longer for you to get because they know you're smart. So they throw in the beginning, they throw all these puzzle pieces at you. So it's like me taking 52 cards, spitting them up in the air to you and saying, now put them in order. But the numbers aren't on there or anything. You got to figure it out. Or taking all the puzzle pieces and say, put it together. And they want to see what you put together. And if you're smart enough to figure them out, then they respect you. And once you gain that respect and that trust, because that is key that you'll get from habituation, your research is going to explode to the point where you're going to say, this is bananas. And these are all things that I've learned, guys. It's not, I don't make it up. It's just, let me see. I'm trying to get to your questions. Is it worth it to try to be quiet? No. Be quiet for what? They know you're there. A lot of people use cover sense. They associate cover sense with hunters, with guns, with orange. With what I can tell you to do is do your thing. Don't cover your scent. Pay attention to the ground quite a bit, like the lower areas. We're not lower areas, but look at tree bases. Big trees, you know, they can sit and hide there. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to always be walking around and doing their thing. And oh, here I am. You know, this is how they stayed elusive for so long. They're at the, you know, they sit behind trees. They do things. They're always low to the ground. You know, like me and you. We're not going to stand in the woods all day long, you know, looking for deer. No, you're going to sit on a log. You're going to sit in a tree stand. But that's what they do. They sit on the ground. So back to the question. Let me see. Is it worth it to be quiet? No. Just do you. Be your thing. You smoke. Let them know who you are. The true you. When you start faking it, it's like they know. Like, I know you're not. So just then they're gone because they know that you're. If you're fabricating that, they know that there's no reason they want to associate with you. You see what I'm saying? This is way better to watch than TV. Love the facts. Thanks, Guy. I appreciate that. That's insane. I heard the black ones are aggressive. I always thought in our area that all we had was black ones, right? Until we captured like a whitish one and then a cinnamon one on 2 different occasions. So a lot of times when you find these big structures in key locations in your counties, those are actual good highways, and a lot of different ones will start to pass through there for a short period of time. It's not like you're going to be there for 2 months getting all this, you know, awesome evidence. It might be a week. You'll get, but you don't know what week it is. So you got to be there. You got to watch the structures. You got to habituate. And then if you're habituating and that they start to come into that area to that main structure, they're going to learn you and they're going to say, oh, wait, that's for us. We can do these things. They'll stick in that area a little longer. Instead of a week, it might be a month, and you'll get that constant interaction. And maybe 2 months, you know. But if there's not a reason for them to stick around, they're not sticking around. Let's see. What's the craziest structures you come across? Okay. There's 2 that come to mind. They're both in the book. One I dubbed the Trident. It's a huge T. So there's like a double. I probably have the pictures I could share. I don't want to share it out of the book just for the people. It's not fair that they purchased the book, you know, 100 people that purchased the book, and then I'm showing it. So it's dubbed the Trident. It was a really big structure, huge tree along the top, but it looked like a T, but with double bottoms. And that was actually dismantled. That was really interesting because not a lot of people are getting those things. They're getting your standard bends or your brakes or your core areas and things like that. But when you take it to the next level and start getting these crazy structures in the woods, that's when you need to pay attention. Then I have another one we captured last year, Dan, Troy, and myself. It was near a sighting location, but deeper in the woods up to the right. Like if you put your fingers together like a like not a teepee, but a temple, there was one running in the middle, and then there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. They all go down it. It's really spaced out, and they're really big trees. It was interesting. I don't know. I never dubbed it or gave it a name, but I'm gonna go back this year and see if it's still there or see what changes. And I try to tell people, take the wind, take the snow load and the rot and all these things into consideration. Everything is not a structure. You'll know when you get structures. You're gonna know it. You're gonna see them. You're gonna know the difference. You're gonna have certain trees that, like I said, will have different tree branches attached to them. So you got a maple tree with oak branches. You got a poplar with maple branches. Pay attention to that. Let's see. D Stewart, I got a surprise for you. Uh-oh. Thanks for the insight. No problem, brother. Always. Let's see. You are awesome, man. Appreciate it. Hey, then they put you back in your place, right? Gotta just keep on. They'll put you back to the humble. It's almost like they give and they take away at the same time. So as you're learning and you think, I got it, I figured it out. Within a few days, it's like, what the hell happened? They're gone. They're in a different place. You don't understand what's happening. I mean, so many different things go on, and then you got to bring it back and take a different road. And it gets to the point where you start to question everything. It's almost like they want you to open your mind up. It's weird. Let me see. Often I've heard they throw rocks and oh yeah, they throw rocks, they throw boulders, they throw all kinds of stuff. A lot of times we've had pebbles and pine cones thrown. Multiple times we'd find different plants, not just pine tree ends, but different types of plants that would be brought to locations and set there. And they'd be setting there, like, and one of the researchers would find it and say, damn, where'd this come from? Because it doesn't look native to this area. Like, you look around 50, 60 yards and it's not there. And we find these different type of plants. Sometimes you'll find even they look weaved up or chewed on or played with. You can tell, you know what I mean? Let's see. I got a video of a small stick holding up a very large stick. D, that's interesting because I had something happen to me this past hunting season I'll tell you about real quick. So I was sitting in the blind, not thinking anything about Bigfoot at all, sitting there with my bow. It got really hot. It was just one of the days that it warmed up. I was like, hell. I collapsed the blind and I set my chair there. And I'm sitting in the chair, and how do I explain this? It felt like not time travel or time warp, but it felt like I went to like a daze. Like I was there, but I wasn't coherent kind of type of thing. Like I was just sitting there, like almost like you nodded off, but you didn't. Okay. That's what it felt like. And all of a sudden I hear this like scream over my shoulder. Like, I don't know. It seemed like maybe 100 yards, but it was loud enough to like snap me out of whatever I was in. And when I looked over there, the instinct in me, I grabbed my cell phone and I grabbed my phone. I started taking pictures. Bam, 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 bam. I'm taking these pictures. I probably took maybe 30. Well, when I got home, I like looked through the photos, and in this one photo, it was interesting because it looks like I have a stick floating in the air. It almost looks like a T. It's kind of like this. So I have a stick and I have another stick just like this. But then in the second photo, like this stick is gone. And this stick is just like floating in the air. And it's unreal. Like, I don't know how that happens. I can't fathom it. I don't understand it. I mean, yeah, we've had interactions with aliens. We've had crazy things happen. I don't know. I have no clue. I mean, when you start capturing these things, and you're going to, if every one of you people that go in the woods will start to capture these things, don't overthink it. Don't, make sure you're doing your due diligence to figure out what it is eventually, but don't be like everybody else and say, oh, that's a stick structure, that's from Bigfoot, or this or this. Actually think about it. You use your brain. You have a brain for a reason. Use it. Let's see. Later, Sam. Don't show pics. I'll buy the book. No, I'm not going to show it. Just a few. I just wanted to share some of those from the Bigfoot Report. Dude, that snow 2 weeks ago, I'm going to make a lot of snow loads. Oh, the snow was horrendous, especially in my area. We're still loaded with snow. I still have 3 feet of snow outside. And it's so heavy. It's ridiculous. So many trees were down. Now, what I would tell you to do is when you first get into your areas and you're going to search your areas, you need to grid your whole area. I mean, if it's 5,000 acres, take that week or 2 weeks or whatever, walk that whole region and mentally note and write down what you see. Okay, these trees are down, that clump, put it on a map. Okay. So when you go back there, you're not like, oh, wow, could that have been like a Bigfoot did that? Or, just you got to map things out. If you're really trying to do this, if you're just going out there have a good time and maybe experience Bigfoot, hell, go for it. But don't come back and be like, oh my God, this is what I have. And you got to have some type of research behind it, some type of mental capacity behind it to be, you know what I mean? Like serious. You got to understand what's going on. I'm curious to know if they learned to build these structures for First Nations and Canada's North American Indians. You want my honest opinion? I believe the Indians learned from them. I believe I'm changing the whole aspect on that. Everybody says, well, did they learn from the Indians? Did they watch the Indians about? No, I believe, this is my opinion, that the Indians seen those structures and built those structures like that and learned from them. Because I believe Bigfoot is way older than the Indian tribes that have been here and so on and so forth. And it almost would have to be that way because where else would Bigfoot come from? I mean, they're just not here on planet Earth like that. No matter what you think they are, paranormal or flesh and blood or whatever, they've been here a long time. Let's just say that. So I believe they learned, the Indians learned from the Bigfoots. That I believe it's completely opposite of that. Memphis, what's up, brother? It was holding it while it was cloaked. Memphis, it could be anything, and that's what I was thinking too. That is messed up. This time travel and lost time. You will experience that. You will experience. I don't care if you are a Bigfoot researcher and you are in the woods on a consistent basis. At some point, you are going to run into something paranormal. You're going to run into some type of time loss or time travel, but mainly the time loss. You will go into the woods. You'll go with your team. You're going to say, let's be out by 5 o'clock. You get out of the woods to your vehicle. It's 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And you're like, what the hell happened? Where did this 3 hours go? What, that's a whole new topic. But yeah, that'll happen. Let's see. Sorry, I scrolled down too far. Oh man, I didn't want to do that. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. I got a video of small stick. Okay. I'm coming. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Shaky? That's messed up. The time travel. Yeah. I started looking into the subject 4 years after I got hit with infrasound. 30 seconds later, a football size landed 10 foot behind me in a small pond. It's interesting, but just don't think it's infrasound. Start to do your homework. Now, there is something that they do. They will hit you with some type of energy or frequency or something. I don't believe it's infrasound, though, in my opinion. But if you start to delve deep into that, the infrasound situation and what else it could be, you could open up a whole can of worms to the point you're going to question and say, man, maybe it isn't infrasound. So that's just a good point. Check that out. How can I email you? My standard email, the email I use every day is double2012@gmail.com. double2012@gmail.com. Let's see here. A Bigfoot was holding the stick. Yeah, right on, Dan. Neanderthal. What else you guys want to talk about? I don't really have too much going on from the field aspect. About a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine, Peter Weimer, had like a little Bigfoot conference up in Silver Creek. I'm actually trying to get a hold of a lady. She asked me to speak at Lilydale. So I might have to call Peter and try to find out. I basically gave a little quick speech there from my seat, answering some questions. And she was really intrigued and said, do you think you would speak at Lilydale and try to talk to the people? And I was going to get a hold of her, so maybe we could do a seminar there where I speak to them and record it and put it up here for you guys and, the whole situation. I really wanted to get on today and just, share the hell out of the book, get into it. You know, it's all color, guys. Really good pictures. Here's a brown of the baby Bigfoot. That's a brown. It's like filtered. There's 4 pictures of that baby Bigfoot in here. You know, like I said, brown, the standard, the original photo, and like a black version of it. I just took the color out of it because I wanted to show different variations, how somebody couldn't say, hey, it could be this or it could be that, because it's clearly not, you know. Let's see, whatever it was, it made me feel nervous. You will feel nervous. What it does is, okay, I'll get deep real quick. So your body runs on frequencies, basically, right? Everything has a type of frequency. How's the easiest way to put this? What I tell people is, do you remember back in the day when you had a cell phone and you would go into a car and the cell phone, the radio was playing and somebody'd call and you'd hear the phone over the speakers, it would go beep, 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 or whatever, and it would interrupt the radio. So like a radio frequency, it wasn't compatible. Do you get that? I think Stonebender. So let's put it this way. So when your frequency, your body is in the woods, some people have, you know, different frequencies and things like that. And their frequency, and, you know, you're close or whatever it is, they interact, they affect. So not only might it not be infrasound, but the reaction between the 2 frequencies from the bodies, you know, kind of like 2 magnets, when you put them together, they attract or repel or whatever. You would feel sick or something could happen, you know, physically to you because you're encountering that other type of frequency. People play frequencies to sleep, to, you know, sleep sounds, all kinds of stuff, hums and health benefits. And so try to pay attention to that, the frequency type thing, because I try to, like I said, I correlate it to the cell phone. The two are not compatible. So when you're around it, something can happen to you, kind of like when you bring the phone into the car and it would go beep, 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 beep. They weren't compatible. You'd look at your friend like, what the hell? I just heard the phone over the speaker. You know, that was old school, but look into that. Oh, message retracted. Physically ill. Yes, you will. It's happened to me. I almost dropped to my knees. It was bad. I had a really bad time. I was doing a live event actually when it happened to me. Every time they're around, I'll tell you to pay attention to your body. If you start to sneeze, what happens to me is I will physically start to get a runny nose for some reason. I don't know if it's them affecting me or if it's a frequency that's affecting me or what the situation is. But I'll get a runny nose. My nose will start running. And a lot of times I don't even pay attention to it until others in the videos would say, hey, your nose runs every time they're around, or blah, blah, blah. And I would start to pay attention to it. And on this particular day, it felt like I got hit right here, right in my forehead. I don't know why or how or what, but my eyes started burning really fast. I wasn't touching anything. My nose started running. I couldn't see. My head was like on fire. It didn't feel like a headache. It just felt like painful. So much that I was telling my buddy, like when my eyes closed, you know, turn around, go back. He had no idea, you know, what was going on. I didn't either. Then when you read up on that whole situation, you learn, hey, this is what happened. You were too close. Something happened. Y'all talking about the infrasound, Memphis. Sure enough, Nextel would do that. My radio would click a few seconds before my phone would ring. Exactly, because the radio frequencies are either too compatible or not compatible. And when that happens, you get a reaction. For every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So that's what you need to think about. Your body's made of like what, 98% water? You know, what a better conductor, right? I mean, electricity and all these things. Start looking into these things. Open up a little bit. Pay attention to it. But that's what happens when you get those two together. That's why we did the magnetic experiments in the woods at these certain structures, at these key structures. And it blew my mind, the things that happened. It really, really did, guys. Maybe you have an allergic reaction. I don't know. I have no clue. I've had this happen more than once. that usually means that you're getting close to them. Now, let's look at some other things. If you continue to go back to that same area, Memphis, and it continues to happen, like you say, let's try an experiment. So if it's a frequency or an infrasound, right? Let's look up what can block infrasound or what can block certain frequencies. You know, a lot of people laugh and say, "Oh, a tinfoil hat," or stupid things. You know, carbon or whatever it may be. Try it out. Go get that carbon piece or that tinfoil hat or whatever the hell it is. Go back to that same area and see if you can make it farther. See if you don't get sick. See what happens. Use your own experiment. You know, to correlate your data to figure out, you know, what the hell's going on. Then you can say to yourself, "Damn, maybe this works." Then try it again. Then try it without it. You know, you do a repetitive thing. That's what science is, repetitiveness. Trying to get the answers. So you try that, and then you might get some answers. You never know. I mean, I've done crazy things. You know, it's just you got to learn from them. I mean, I don't make this shit up. It's crazy. So let's see. All right, guys, almost 10 o'clock. Check out the book. Share it. The Bigfoot Report, Unclassified. Let your journey begin. I shared this photo earlier, so that's the last one I'll share. Not going to share anymore, just for the fact that people purchase it. They want to check it out. It's on Amazon. You can get the Kindle. I prefer you to get this because it's right here for you. You don't get the same experience with Kindle. Yeah, there's a big price difference. If the book wasn't glossy, if it wasn't full color, I understand it's $21.95, guys. I mean, it is what it is. They charge you certain amounts for certain things. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. I don't have a choice in that. We're not getting rich. I mean, honestly, you make so much per book, and it's minimal. But I want to get my experiences out there, so maybe you can try to understand things, or take what I have and put it into your research and say, "Whoa, you know, I seen that, or I had that happen, or we tried that." You know what I mean? I want all the researchers to pay attention to it and do some things. So, not much more on the board here. Thanks, Browndorf. Let's see, might sound stupid, but I've put high magnetized magnets in my pockets and have some crazy results. Oh, don't do it. Don't carry the magnets, okay? If anything, put them at the main structures and try to do them like I did in my video. Stack them, create your vortex, you know, use a copper for a ground into the earth. Do some different things. Don't carry them, though, because you're going to give off different types of things that they're going to interpret to be different. Maybe it'll work for you, but just be careful while you're doing that, Dwarf. Or Memphis. I can't remember who it was. Thank you for channel. Definitely getting the book. Ben, appreciate it. Hey, I try to be, you know, honest with you guys. I'll bring more. Come spring, we're going to be out there. Not going to go walk around 3 foot of snow trying to find them and do things. But just being real with you. You'll see more. We might do some podcasts with some researchers and good guys and stuff like that. But I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate your time. Check out the book. I appreciate that. Maybe in the future, the rest of us can collaborate. Maybe if you guys will get in the woods this spring and check things out. You need some pointers. You got my email. Be safe. Have a good one, guys.